So I stuck that beginning in as a joke because I was playing through a reduction of a symphony the other day, and they're like, what jazz piece is that? And that actually reminds me of when somebody says classical music, they always think of like the Alberti bass from like the Mozart time and endless diminished arpeggios. But onto the topic, endless drilling. This is something I do with students, and what it does eventually in the long run, if they stick with it, most people do not. I'm not going to lie, most people do not stick with endless drilling. But what all this drilling does when you do everything in every key constantly, all kinds of moves, all kinds of highly functional moves, constant drilling, memorizing everything in every key. Eventually you start connecting to the dots of this highly chromatic music. So stuff like this, endless drilling, teaching yourself really strong root movement. This is super important and stuff you should probably do the rest of your life. Doesn't matter what key you're in or the amount of musical knowledge you have, you should always drill yourself constantly. Whether it's melodic minor and ascending form, using just the ascending chords, secondary functioning chords, all that stuff. Never-ending drilling, and eventually it leads to connecting dots for highly chromatic music. And the ability to recognize any chord in any kind of melodic chromatic sequence and see the function of it, why it's working. Because I'm going to guarantee you when you're looking at highly chromatic music, most of the time it's not random chromatic moves. So here's a random chromatic sequence. Now let's listen to the passage we're going to study and figure out. The one somebody thought was jazz that I was playing through the other day on the piano. So at first, this seems almost kind of random. And this is symphony in B minor, and you're like, how in the heck is that B minor? And that's the big question here. How do these chords relate to B minor? This is where that endless drilling is going to pay off. So what I might do is just stack everything in thirds first, write it out in notation, just to see what exactly is going on. Let's figure this out. So like B minor, G sharp half diminished in B minor, F sharp 7, E sharp diminished 7th, C sharp 7. What the heck? F sharp 7. Look like a G dominant 7th without a 5th. We got to solve the mystery of this G, B, E sharp. And you could stack it in thirds, you could put E sharp, G, B, but that's not exactly what we want to do here. So after deciphering a few things, this is where all the drilling pays off. That first chord, half diminished, is very normal in ascending melodic minor chords, and normally goes to the 5. So what does he do in this example? It goes to the 5, but in 7th form. It's the 6th chord of B melodic minor. In fact, this is very Tchaikovsky-like, is to use the ascending melodic minor like that. So this is where this drilling highly pays off. So this is a B minor move. If you closely examine the next 3 chords, they're all predominant chords. The E sharp diminished 7th, the C sharp 7, Italian 6, which in slash chords is easiest to write as G7 omit 5. But they're all predominant chords, just alternating between the 3 before it goes to the dominant. This is basic chromatic harmony, and I have a course on this right here with the link in the description. But this is still basic chromatic harmony. To alternate between the 3 before resolving. Now if I start on a B minor and now go through this chord sequence, now resolve back to B minor. You hear that? But one of the reasons we may have failed to see that is because the series of seventh chords, and one of the traits of late romantic music is to continuously move to a chord that wants to resolve again. So all this really is clever use of chords that would naturally occur with B minor, melodic minor, and then secondary functioning chords and chords that would normally resolve to the dominant, without ever once going to the B minor chord, which even makes it cooler. It's almost tonally obscure. But I'm going to guarantee you I would have never picked up on these patterns here had I not done endless years of endless drilling on everything possible in the functional harmony system, including chromatic harmony, which I will leave the link in the description to my chromatic harmony course, and we cover all the possible chromatic harmony chords in key, and these are things you want to endlessly drill. So remember to bring you content like this to explain this very difficult Tchaikovsky passage, which at first seems difficult until I point out some things. I do have to make a living off of this kind of stuff, so it helps me when you guys do purchase the course.